So what do you expect me to say?
Let's get him!
I know you need to feel this way. Coming after you.
Hey there, what's up internet? My name is BlackLightAttack, and today I have yet another NU battle for you guys. This time is against a fella named CunningEdge, and CunningEdge, I'm not sure if you go by a different name on YouTube, couldn't find your YouTube channel. He did express that he was looking to record a video as well. He also said he was a big fan, so I appreciate the love. But I did not get his channel name, unfortunately, before I quit the battle, or before he quit the battle, rather. So, my bad, sorry about that, but if you see this video online, please PM me and let me know what your channel name is, and I will put it in the description immediately. Anyway, looking at the teams here, you can see, now first off, you're going to look at my team. You're going to think, Nick, what the fuck, man? You're always trying to use creative sets, NU of the NU, and, you know, maybe sometimes you use a little bit of, like, overused Pokemon like Weezing to back up your crazy creative movesets, but what the fuck is a Tangela doing on your team? Seriously, man? Seriously, you're gonna run a Tangela? To which I say, hold on. This is a special Tangela. Actually, this Tangela doesn't really matter, because it dies immediately, but all I can tell you is that Tangela's not running his typical invincible Eviolite defensive build. That's not at all what he's running. And even my Emboar has changed up a little bit here, but anyway, looking at his team, I can tell you right now that Swellow is probably the biggest threat here because it outspeeds everything on my team and it hits really fucking hard. So even Musharna, my physical wall, is going to have a hard time walling this thing. But anyway, let's get right into it, see what we can do here. So he's going to lead off with his Rotom Air Form, and I'm going to lead off with my Miltank, just trying to get my rocks up, as I always like to do. And I figured this thing's probably out there to scout, but seeing Miltank is usually a defensive build, I assume he's going to want to trick something onto me, because Rotom does like to carry that Trick Scarf. So I go into my Emboar, who I assume will not really mind having a Scarf. It's not the sort of set he's designed to run in this case. He's using the Flame Charge build. But I wouldn't really mind it, but he doesn't. He just goes for the Volt Switch, does a pretty hefty amount of damage to my Emboar, and now I'm basically just sitting here facing down a Relicanth. I switch out into Musharna to see if it can take the Head Smash alright, because I'm pretty sure this thing is just going to sweep my team, but he's actually going for the Rock Polish set, which is quite unfortunate. Now, I have the feeling that I'm going to be able to live at least one of these, because this is a physically defensive Musharna, and I'm going to Thunder Wave him to cancel out that Rock Polish. So now he is not looking too fast anymore, and he's also fearing Parahack, so he's actually just going to switch out and go into his Meganium so that he can Aromatherapy off the Paralysis. Now, I look at this as a good opportunity to set up a Moonlight, and not set up, but just heal off that damage, because I already took half already, and while he goes for the Aromatherapy, I figure, you know, it's time to set up my Stealth Rocks. It's time to get a little bit of Toxic on this guy. Maybe if I'm lucky, maybe he'll try to stall me out. He does actually try to stall me out with the Leech Seed this turn, but unfortunately for him it misses. I'm actually a little disappointed that it missed too, because now he's going to bail, whereas otherwise he might have stuck around to take that Toxic, because now it's going to hit his Rotom. For some reason I'm still fearing the Choice Scarf switch, so I'm going to switch back out into my Tangela, who can resist this Volt Switch. And honestly, this was a bad play, because now he just gets to send out whatever he wants on the Tangela. And really, I was expecting, like, you know, maybe one of his special attackers like Electros, who usually carries a Flamethrower. But instead he goes out into his Swellow, and I'm thinking, okay, Tangela has pretty respectable defense, right? Maybe he can live whatever he's going to throw at me. He goes for a Facade, I guess, just expecting me to switch out rather over the Brave Bird. I don't even live that, let alone a Brave Bird, which would have been super effective. Because I forget that Tangela is, even though he's got a pretty respectable defense stat, he's not carrying Eviolite. He's not really invincible anymore. That Tangela is actually running a Life Orb and Leaf Storm Power Swap set. Yeah, try to figure that one out. It's pretty awesome if it works. So Regenerator slacks off the Life Orb damage. But anyway, he's going to go into his Meganium to just prevent me from really doing anything with my Musharna, because he knows it only carries Thunder Wave, and he doesn't really mind having Paralysis on his tank. And my Musharna can't really do too much to this guy, so I'm going to switch out into Haunter now, because this thing is basically setup fodder. Luckily, he goes for the Toxic. I wasn't really predicting that, but I expected him to sit here and run some more support moves, because Meganium doesn't really have any offense, and that allows me to go for the Substitute on the switch with my Haunter. Now you may be thinking, oh, another typical Pokemon. This is probably like a sub-Nasty Plot or a sub-Split or a sub-Disable. That's a big thing right now, sub-Disable. But this is actually a sub-Wisp Haunter, believe it or not, with Taunt. and he doesn't know I have taunt yet. That's not going to come into play for a while, but I'm just going to go straight for the Shadow Ball, trying to hit that Hypno, but he switches out. I expected him to stay in and go for a Wish or something. Instead, he sends out the Electros, who takes that pretty nicely. I mean, he can't be hit super effectively or anything, but he does take that pretty nicely. I don't know if he expects me to switch out now, but I'm going to go for the Will-O-Wisp to get some more reliable damage. And even though I figure it's probably not going to do much, turns out he's a physical build, so I lucked out big time. Usually Electros is running a specially offensive build. Instead, he's running a physical build with Coil and Dragon Tail and Wild Charge. Lucky for me, because now he's burned and pretty much useless, and he's forced to go back out into his Meganium to try to heal Bell off that quite unfortunate burn. So he goes into his Meganium again, and he does not take the Shadow Ball. Well, I assume it's physically defensive. I think Meganium can go either way if I remember correctly, but I'm just going to finish him off with another Shadow Ball. He realizes there's really no point in running away, although personally, if I was him, I would have switched into Swellow, but you'll see that I have some answers for Swellow as well. Now, as I said, this is a sub Will-O-Wisp Shadow Ball taunt build, so I really can't hit Swellow considering it already has a burn. What I can do is, well, he goes for the Brave Bird, and I'm very lucky that he decided to lock himself in this move. I'm fairly sure he's either Choice Banded or Choice Scarf. I can just keep going for substitutes. I predict him to go for pretty much, well, he pretty much has to do Brave Bird because U-Turn will switch him out, and he probably has Protect, and Facade won't affect me. So basically, he has to go for that Brave Bird, and that's going to get recoil damage and the burn damage from his Flame Orb while I just set up another substitute. And at the end of the day, he's taking more damage than he wants to. So he goes into his Hypno. I taunt him. Surprise, he's trying to Wish Heal his Swellow. I guess he didn't realize that his Swellow is actually already dead because I have Stealth Rocks up and it has less than a quarter. And I guess that he must have realized it just now, sends it in for Death Fodder. And I'm just going for the Will-O-Wisp, just trying to get recurring damage on the Hypno, not really knowing what else he might switch into, just kind of hoping to get that continuous damage on something. Not really realizing that most of his team is status by now. This team runs a lot of status, especially when you consider that Body Slam also has a high paralysis rate. Anyway, I'm willing to let my substitute go to trade a... I now see that he is Scarf, but I'm going to trade a Shadow Ball with this guy. And knowing that Rotom is not particularly bulky unless he builds for it, and just take him out. So Relicanth comes out, and I'm expecting another Rock Polish setup. He goes right for the Head Smash, which just cancels my substitute. I figure, alright, whatever, I can deal with this. Now I gotta decide, am I gonna try to hurt this thing as best I can with Shadow Ball, or just go for the Will-O-Wisp? I think it's safer to go for the Will-O-Wisp. In retrospect, it's probably not, because Will-O-Wisp isn't very accurate, but luckily it doesn't miss or anything. And I decided to sacrifice my Haunter to get a burn on this guy and basically render him useless, especially now that his Meganium is dead and can't Aromatherapy that off. So I am just going to go into my Choice Banded Floatzel. I do love to run a Choice Banded Floatzel set. This is Lupin the Third, and he just always runs that Brick Break. I love Brick Break on this guy because not many Choice Banded Floatzels run it. So he's going to go into Electros, and even though I probably could have just stayed in and broke him, I don't know, brick broke him to death, I actually wanted to save this last kill for a little bit of something special. Not really last kill, but I just needed Lupin the Third to switch out. So I am just going to keep going for the Body Slam with Miltank. He's going to go for the Coils, trying to negate that burn a little bit, but I guess he realizes, well, I mean, he's got a burn, and he's taking periodic damage every turn. There's really not much that he can do. He's not going to be able to coil that up in time before I just whittle him down with the Body Slam. So I guess he goes for the Wild Charge, seeing how much it does, which is pretty much next to nothing, even though this is a especially defensive Miltank. So he goes back into his Hypno, which is the final Pokemon, and knowing that probably the only attacking move this thing even carries is Seismic Toss, I'm not too worried, but I did go back into my Floatzel just to show off to the internet that fitting with the theme of this team. If you haven't noticed, I'm running all Japanese names on this team, and it's because I've been watching Lupin the Third, the old anime from the 70s, about a gentleman thief. Now, of course, Lupin the Third is carrying Switcheroo. I had to commit to the roleplay of the character. It was between that or I think Ice Punch, and I decided, well, do I want more coverage or do I want more utility? So I always like to run utility in some form or another, so I decided to go with the utility of Switcheroo. Mostly, actually, I would say that the decision making in that is mostly due to sticking with the character of Lupin the Third, because of course he's got to run the ability to steal somebody else's item and switch thing. I don't know. It's awesome. I love this team. Anyway, that was a great game, CunningEdge. I thank you for playing with me. And to all you guys watching, leave a like if you did like the video. I had a lot of fun with this match. Hopefully I'll be able to get a match with that Tangela build sometime in the future. But anyway, guys, that'll do it from me. I'm out of here. Take it easy.